What's going on, fam? We back again. So today we're going to talk about education, or more specifically, do you need a degree to be successful? So I think one of the first things we want to talk about is what's the definition of successful? Because for me, when it comes to jobs, things of that nature, I'm thinking more about, can I take care of myself, maintain a particular lifestyle, and for the most part, try not to be worried about finances. I mean, because we all do that at some point,
yeah.
but if you broke, that's one of your constant worries is finances. So, Carl, let me ask you, first, do you need a degree to be successful? Secondly, what's your definition of successful?
So, no, you don't need a degree to be successful. And I guess I'm glad you led in with that because, like you said, your definition of success is going to be different. I think in your early age, in your early years, or your earning years, when you really think like, okay, now it's time for me to get the bag. I know a lot of you know, now it's get the bag. When we were young, it was get paid. It was all the same thing. It's about getting money. Once you get into your 20s, you're like, okay, I got to get this. I got to get, I want a car, I want a house, I want clothes, I want, be able to date, be able to travel, and I want to be comfortable with all of that. As you get older, I think your level of success turns into just what you said. Can I take care of myself? Can I maintain my lifestyle? And can I do it relatively stress-free? Stress in your early age is going to be a lot different, than it is going to be later on. We try not to have a heart attack and die at 55 and, because you're trying to get it and trying to get
That's
it. And
dark.
I'm right there.
No, I mean,
that's dark.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. We right here. So and people we know, start.
I said, man, hell, once we made it out of high school in the 80s, we was good.
Yeah. So that's my thing, and I'll say it all the time ad nauseum. I lived through the crack era. So if I lived through the crack era, I'm supposed to live a long time.
There you go.
That's how I figure. So I don't want to die worrying about a job and trying to get it and chasing a bag and all that kind of stuff. Can I eat? Can I keep the lights on? Can I take care of whatever family I have? If I can do those things, that's my level of success. Now, degree-wise, I think, and this is just me, and I might probably have a lot of disclaimers when I'm saying this.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that someone with a degree is better than someone without a degree. But I do think it affords you more options for you to maintain that lifestyle at a lower level of stress.
But going back, you said you don't need a degree to be successful, right?
No.
Okay.
But it's an individual. It depends on the individual. We're going to get into that.
Okay.
Gotcha.
B, where do you sit at on
Same
this?
question. Just like Carl tailed off at, it's case by case. But if I had to pick a yes or no, I'm gonna say no. You don't need a degree to become successful in life, and there's plenty of examples of it. Second question: what is success? Right? Career wise, I think it is. Again, like you guys said, you don't have to worry about financial issues or if I can't pay the bills. You want to make sure like you got what you need at this point. Your house is paid for. You can take care of yourself. You don't have a car issue. If something goes wrong with the car, you want to be able to take care of that. You want to be take care of friends and family. And also on the working side of it, you want to have work that pays you.
I'm not taking care of friends and family.
You're supposed to see. You want me to be mean and just
Listen,
make it
see,
the work
no,
hard
no,
type of
because
deal.
I mean, you coming from a biblical standpoint, man. Look, I
Well,
know
we
it's better to
supposed-
give than to receive, but charity begins at home. So
Good point.
Put
But
your
we
oxygen
are
ma-
supposed
put
to be
your
givers.
oxygen mask on first before you start trying to
Well,
save
Gene,
somebody
as
else.
Christian man, we supposed to be givers.
okay,
True.
so we gonna get to Christ and
Yeah, so we'll put a pin there for Jesus.
okay. So you said you don't. Carl said you don't. I say you do.
Why?
Glad you asked that question. Well, I think that more so than anything, and we'll get into specific points,
Mhm.
but it does afford you a certain level of comfort. What it does also is it shows that you can start something, you can see it through to completion.
Mhm.
I got some stats because that's what I like to do.
Data and
So what I
statistics.
did was I looked at men and women because, you
Mhm.
know, they always say that women are smarter than we are. So I think they are, but that's neither here nor there. So I found a study, and the study says that in 1995, 25% women had a college degree.
Mhm.
25% of men college degree. Fast forward to 2024, 47% of women college degrees, 37% of men college degrees. Now, since we love to talk about our people,
There we go.
yeah, blacks
Yeah,
in
it's gonna be
1995,
skewed.
16% of women had degrees, 14% of black men. But in 2024, it was 38% of black women had degrees, 4-year degrees,
Mhm.
26% men. So now what you're looking at is the whole gender makeup of college students, for instance. Do you think that more women go to college than men,
Yes.
Carl?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So in 2021, the gender makeup of women versus men in college, 58% of college students were women, 42% were men. So when we talk about, let's say, postgraduate degrees, master's degrees,
Mhm.
62% in 2021, 62% of master's degrees were earned by women. So when I look
Women
at
in general or black women?
women in general,
Okay.
so and that crossed all uh, race categories, so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
But I think that when you're looking at having a degree, again, I say there's a certain, comfort level that goes with it. And when you're in school, you're focused on a specific, once you choose your major, you're focused on a specific
Mhm.
category. So, B, let's take you for instance. Okay.
Mhm.
Your degree,
STEM program engineering.
there you go. So you're an engineer. So let me ask you, one of the things that I always hear, and Carl, I don't know if you've heard it being in corporate America, is, well, sometimes companies are looking for experience versus schooling. So
Yeah.
when you say that, do you think that somebody with experience in engineering could do your job without having a degree?
Full on short sweet, no, because there's things like for what I do, you have to learn like in college, like excuse me, I won't go into details, but like
No,
fluid
let's go
mechanics.
into details because my thing
Okay,
is
let's do it.
I'm trying to prove a point as to
Mm,
why you need a degree to
okay.
be successful.
But it's a caveat in this. We're talking about like my specific example, what I do for
Yeah.
my career. There are like college courses that teach like the more tougher side of what I do, like fluid mechanics, dynamics, statics. You don't learn that stuff, on YouTube. You can, but
It ain't no
this
Google
college course,
Classrooms.
there are, but these are stuff you learn in college. But I would say on the lower tier of engineering side, there are some stuff like if you're just doing, computer aided drafting, that's something, that's not that degree rich. But if you're telling me, like for instance, I've worked on like lab projects, you're not gonna take somebody that's inexperienced, not, well versed and educated in that background and say, go design a lab because you're dealing with complex systems, fluids, velocities, and all that stuff, which again, that education is needed for. And then further on, looking at licenses, there are little caveats there where they say for licenses, you can either trade experience or degree, but you have to have a hefty amount of experience in lieu of your degree. And I believe in one case, they're looking at 8 to 10 years of experience to trade for a college degree, but that's 4 years versus 10.
Okay,
So
so then let me ask you, with your degree in engineering, your earning potential is vast, correct?
yeah, it
So in
definitely
having
helps.
a
Yeah.
degree, and Carl, I think you mentioned it earlier, it does increase your earning potential. Because I think most
Hmm.
kids, they're looking at money. But
That's an incentive. Yeah, for sure.
are you disciplined enough to
And
go
that's
to college for those 4 years, for those 6 years.
Mhm.
You know, if you want to be a doctor, 8, 10 years of
Yeah.
schooling.
And then there's more schooling too, because you have licenses you have to study and learn for. So it's just beyond the degree. And again, there's a level of education to get that license. So
Well, and I think another reason that I say that you should get a degree and what college does, it helps you to develop skills.
Mhm.
For instance, for me, one of the issues I had was time management.
Mhm.
In college, you going to figure out how to do time management, because if not, you're going to get swallowed up real easy. Time problem solving. I remember having psychology classes, things like that.
No, I never took
So
those.
I think that a lot of times, see, there you go. Well, we
It's
don't want to
another
get
comment.
caught up.
It's okay. I never took engineering classes.
See,
It
there
just
we
made me
go.
look at numbers.
And then again, I go back to skills that are specific to your particular field. So,
Mhm, true. Yeah.
Carl, let me ask you, what are some reasons that you have as to why you don't need a degree?
Well, and I guess I want to get into a caveat here, because your question was, do you need a degree to be successful? And I said no.
Mhm.
However, you got to have a certain personality. I think right now, particularly, and I say with us, we are really in a build your own. We need to build our own communities, and we got to stop trying to get jobs and build our own. And
Like Dr. Umar says,
and
fam, we really don't care too much for
Excuse
Dr.
me.
Umar. So that was a personal
and
joke.
here's okay, just using Dr. Umar as an example.
That joker.
He's got a great pitch for his school,
Which
his
has
school
yet
for
to be
boys,
built.
which has been in development for at least 10 years. So when you tell me we got to build our own institutions and our own infrastructures and all this kind of stuff, it's not like you can just start today and it's going to be up and running tomorrow. So when you say some people can go out and start a business, some people can go out and they have the hustle and the drive to do that, so they can be successful without a degree. That's a very small percentage of people.
Wait. See, this is my caveat too, where you say it's a small percentage of people.
Okay.
I work in the construction industry. So with me designing buildings as an engineer, I work with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of contractors
Mm-hmm.
that came out of trade schools.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are not guys with college degrees for the most part. But when I see their billing rate on contracts, that these are guys that are working at $90 an hour, laying pipe, overtime on weekends, that gets into $175, $250 plus,
Mm-hmm.
laying pipe. These guys are successful guys. They're doing well.
But
So you're saying hundreds
With-
and hundreds and hundreds, but I can point to thousands and thousands of thousands
yes,
who
but
will work for them.
yes, but there's still an amount of success because those guys are living comfortably, doing well. So it
But
can.
they've got that drive to do that.
Yes, and it is a hard working job.
And it's a dedication. So going back to your point
Mhm.
about, you have an engineering degree. I've worked in healthcare industry, customer service specific, for years.
Mhm.
One of my former managers was an engineer at General Motors prior to coming to a healthcare company.
Mhm.
Went to school, I think got a master's degree.
Oh, wow.
Worked as an engineer. Came to work in healthcare, and everybody's looking like, huh? Why you do that? Well, she knows processes. And she's able to use those type of process improvement plans
Mhm.
in our area. So with that degree, she's able to move around. And if she wanted to go back to be an engineer, she
Oh,
probably
yeah,
could.
for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But you can also do this. When you're talking about a trade school, those particular guys in construction,
Mhm.
if they said tomorrow, I don't want to do this no more, what they gonna do?
Yeah, you are a plumber.
But I will say this though, when it comes to trade schools, as far as I'm concerned, this is just my opinion, it's apples to apples comparing it to college, because you still have to
Essentially.
go through classes, you still have to go through certifications,
Mhm.
and then once you got to go through apprenticeship programs,
True.
things of that nature.
So-
So all of that to me falls in line.
Minus the cost. There's a cost difference.
on.
there.
Well, that's true. However, when going to college, there are several different options. You got grants, you got loans. Hell, I went to the military. Uncle Sam paid for my undergrad.
Okay. True.
Here's the caveat I put to that, and I'm
Mhm.
kind of swinging to you might need a degree, but
Oh.
because when you say that apples to apples, I would disagree with that. Because if I'm in trade school, I'm studying to be that.
Yeah.
You're basically on that same path, and everybody around you is on that same path.
hmm
If you're in college, you may be studying to be something, but the people around you are studying to be all types of things.
Yeah.
And there are different influences there.
hmm
So you might go into college thinking you want to be an engineer, and by the time you graduate, you're a teacher.
Yeah, true. I got friends like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So,
they saw them calculus
I mean,
classes and all that
any
other
type-
stuff. Like, I
They
can do
really
this.
didn't know.
fluid
sounded
mechanics
good.
was fun.
Yeah.
I can tell you like this. Me and Eugene took a trip. I think we were in the 9th grade. We went to Lawrence Tech. You remember that?
Mhm.
So our class trip went to Lawrence Tech. I came home, told my mother I want to be an engineer. She said, "You don't even know what that is," and walked away.
Come on, now, mama.
Which was true. I didn't know what it was.
Shout out to Mrs. Trapp.
I didn't know.
You could have been
But-
with me in the field,
Yeah,
man.
No, I couldn't because the math ain't my strong suit. So no, but that was the thing. It was like they fed us lunch and they took us around, and I was excited just to see that. But a lot of people go to college with that same mindset. I want to be this, and then you go and you meet some people and you talk to some other people. You find out different. Oh, I didn't know that was a major. I didn't know you had a job in this, and then they come out being something totally different. If you take advantage of that.
Agreed.
So it's different ideas of thought, which is why a lot of us, they're trying to keep us out of college. Because once Black people get to, if you go to a predominantly white institution and you get there and you start thinking like, I don't know if I can hang with this, and you realize that you're just as smart as these white kids, or you're just as average as these white kids,
Yeah,
it doesn't really make a difference.
It's all the same.
If you go to a HBCU, you might been the smartest kid in your class coming out of high school, and you get there and you're like, oh, everybody's smart. So it changes your perspective
Mm-hmm.
and it broadens your horizons. So
Yeah, 'cause
college
now
is
you a little fish in a big pond.
exactly. So instead of saying I'm just on this track in
Mhm.
this particular trade. So
Fair. Yeah, that's
Yeah, but you know,
fair, for
and
sure.
and one of the things about having a degree too is once you get into the job market, then what you find is there are companies that don't necessarily need you to have a degree in a specific field. They just want you to have a degree.
Yeah,
And Carl, I
it's
think
your
customer
resume
service is
checkbox.
probably one of those areas where, you know, when I worked in customer service and healthcare years ago, I just need to have a degree.
Mhm.
You know,
for you to move up.
and for me, once you get in, then most companies are going to train you to do the job the way they want you to do it anyway.
Yeah, agreed. It's a similar case with engineering. You know, something that I learned from mentors when I was younger. It's not always the A+ engineer you want. Because like some of the, I would say, great engineers that were pretty good in their business that, you know, had long careers, they were C students in college. But when they got in the field, everybody wanted to work with them. All the clients worked with them. So again, it is like kind of something that just does check off a box. I do agree with that.
Okay. I found another study. This was in the Journal of American Medicine
Hmm.
back in 2019. And they found that adults with a 4-year degree had a longer life expectancy than those without a degree. And that went across all genders and races.
I've seen that.
And
That's- I can
partially,
understand
I'm
that.
thinking because, Carl, you know, you mentioned earlier, your stress level is lower. You got a degree, 9 times out of 10, you have a halfway decent job and you
Mhm, that
ain't
makes
worried
sense.
about, you know, things like that. I thought about when I gave the stats earlier about men and women. So let me ask you guys, what's your take on that? B, why do you think less men go to college and get degrees as opposed to women?
See, my view is a little jaded on that because I was in STEM program for college. So in most of my classes, it was maybe 80% guys. I had one class, it was maybe 15 of us, one girl in it. So for me, it's kind of jaded because seeing STEM.
Well, I'm talking about in general,
yeah.
though.
So in general, I feel like, you know, women are more attracted to getting that degree. I feel like they're more drawn than some guys were.
Wow.
But I can't tell why. And then it's the caveats like some guys are gonna veer off on that route to go trades, which again is not a degree. So that pulls a percentage of males away. And unfortunately for us, we do have some of our cousins that don't even want to go to college. Because I remember when I was younger,
Why? Because they want to be rappers and
whatever they want to do. But
Okay.
you back when I was in that
I don't
era.
think they even have a. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Because I'm
yeah.
a,
Because there was more women that I could talk to when I was in that college age that like, I'm doing this, I have this plan and this plan. And you look at some of the guys are like, I'm chilling, you know. And that was a part of it too.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I thought about was in most cases, men, we want to be providers. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking there has to be a mindset that I ain't got time to go to college. You know, I might have a baby at 16. I got to get out here and start making some money.
Yeah, that's a
So, I
that's
mean,
a
you know,
hard
that could be
sell.
a deterrent
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I wonder with the disparity between women getting degrees and men getting degrees from a female perspective, I wonder if there's a correlation between single mothers and you know women getting degrees because a lot of
It
times
could
you
be.
got to get out there. I mean, we have several stories that we've heard when we talked to Keisha
Mm-hmm.
on one of our previous shows. She said that was her motivation to do. She wanted to go to nursing school because she was a single mom.
Yeah, you gotta
So I think a
provide.
lot of times when you don't have that father and you've got a single mother and she's got a family, she understands that the best route for me to go to make some halfway decent money is to go to school, get a degree, and get into a particular field. So I mean, I don't know. What are your
yeah,
thoughts?
Tough one.
I don't know if I follow that because if it's the woman's motivation, it should be the man's as well. Like you said, if you got a kid at 16 or you got you want to get out there and hustle and, provide at 18 when you come out of high school, why not look at education as a means to do that?
Yeah, because my question is not to jump in.
No.
You can still have a kid and provide for it, but why don't you get yourself established
Yeah.
first?
Well, and I think sometimes young brothers are easily influenced by their male counterparts.
Yeah,
You know,
I would put it on that.
you
yeah.
know, and man, what you getting a job? What you going to school for, man? You a sucker, man. Why you going to school? Huh?
I think that
Yeah.
for whatever reason, men get into, or young boys going into men get into their head that they don't like school, and I don't want to be here no more. I want to get this done
I
and
can
get it over
agree
with.
with that.
And I think a part of that is um, there's a socialization factor where, again, if you have young ladies, their social makeup is going to be different than the guys. For example, like you said, if you got a bunch of guys and it's one of y'all that like school, the other ones don't for whatever reason.
Yeah, you're the oddball.
Okay, now I'm like, well, I'm kind of cave into peer pressure, so to speak, and hang with my boys. Typically, in a female group, if you got 5, 2 or 3 gonna be good in school. And you might be able to gravitate there, and okay, well, we're gonna go to college, and they can continue to hang out and be friends, and where guys are gonna gravitate the other way.
And here's what I'll say about this, Carl. I use this example all the time. There are 5 of us that grew up middle school, high school, and I tell people I had 2 sets of friends. I had my friends in school, Carl being one of them. I had my friends at home. Neither of the 2 mixed. Because if my friends from home, I saw them in school, hey, what's going on? Boom. That's it. And I say all that to say that my friends in school, we were all of the same mindset. You know, intelligent. We had our heads on straight. But you know, I always feel like too, you gotta have, you know, the other side too. So when I got home, my boys, we playing football in the street. They going, they stealing cars, they doing whatever.
Yep.
But because we knew what we wanted to do and because we were raised a certain way. And Carl, I tell people I had no idea that I was going to even go to college. I just remember, I think my junior year in high school, my mother was like, where you want to go to college? And I was like, well, I hadn't really thought about it. She was like, well, pick a school because you're going. And the rest is history.
Good
But
choice.
we've maintained our friendship and we're still of the same mindset. You know, so Carl, to your point, we had those negative influences around us, but we didn't feed into that.
Yeah, but I think and I don't know what changed. I can't put a finger on how it shifted, but nowadays it seems as though it's not there are no positive influences, or there are very few positive
Yeah,
influences
yeah.
that will say school is the next step, whether it be college or trade. School
Mhm.
is the next step. You get guys that are in their junior and senior year of high school now, and you ask them, what is your next step? And they tell you, what they want to be or what they want to do, but they have no plan how to get there.
You know, I think part of that too, I blame the media because we don't promote those positive stories. Think about it. At
True.
least once a year around graduation time, you might see a story about a kid that's kicking ass and is getting millions of dollars in scholarships. You might see one story like that, but I guarantee, and I will put myself out there, that there are a lot more than that, but they don't
Mhm.
promote it,
Yeah.
especially in our community.
And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they don't. Okay, using that example, like I said, a lot of times kids think that they're so average, that they're not smart enough. So you see a kid that's getting, $1 million in scholarships. You see a 14-year-old that just graduated from college and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you, as a regular, BC student, are like, oh, I'm not smart enough. You get intimidated. Could be intimidated. And
Yeah,
then you
true.
fall into that other
Mhm.
side. My issue is you're really not looking at it, because you're looking at, like I said, once you get on a college campus and you compare yourself with the kids that are there, you find out that you are just as bright, just as smart, just as capable as they are. And to prove your point, to prove that point, that whole scandal that happened a few years ago when all those actors and actresses were
Mhm.
lying, cheating, and stealing
Rich white kids.
to get their kids into a school.
Mhm.
Not just, I mean, and it wasn't like, oh, I can't afford it. It was like, oh, they're just average.
Mhm.
Yep.
And we got kids that are better than them,
Yeah, take priority
know.
over 'em. Mhm.
So they're doing everything they can to get their kid into school. But those same people will turn around and say, oh, that black kid, they're only here for affirmative action or DEI.
You got a 4.0.
And that
Mhm.
kid, because they know their kid is just average. And here's
Mhm.
another kid that doesn't look like their kid, doesn't have the same advantages as their kid, but they can compete with their kid and exceed what they're doing. But then they'll turn around and tell you, well, you can't really compete at this level. And then you internalize that. I think that we have to make sure that our youth know you are just as good. I mean, once you
Yeah,
get, and we all been to college, so we can
Yeah,
say
yeah,
we can
yeah.
say
And I
this.
agree with that.
Once you get in a classroom with some of these people, and you like, what?
Well, we had, there was
Mhm.
a real quick story. Me and Dave, our freshman year when we went to Indiana, we had a study group, and we were all, English class. So what we decided to do was everybody had written a paper. We kind of go and, critique each other's papers.
Mhm.
We had a young lady that was in our class that went to boarding school with Eddie DeBartolo Jr.'s daughter.
Okay.
And we was like, boarding school, wow. Man, we sat down and started going through that paper. And me and Dave were just looking at each other smiling. And afterwards, we sat and talked, and that was an aha moment. I
Mhm.
say, bruh, I will put my Detroit public school education up against anybody's.
Absolutely.
And to your point, you in college now, so you look like your parents wasted a whole bunch of money. Because I know more than you
A
do.
ton of money.
Mhm.
And they're trying to make it like we don't deserve to be there. And it's crazy because I don't care what you do, and I've been reading into my, and I guess I'm going against my own point, but I've been reading The
That's
Talented
okay.
10th. And it's really not much of a read. It's a really quick read. So if you haven't read it, but goes back to 1903, a debate between W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. Well, Booker T. Washington felt that we should go to trade school. We should, to advance ourselves as a people, we should
Mhm.
learn trades and farming and mechanics and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff to raise our level. And W.B. Du Bois's point was, we can do that, but we need people, educated people, in order to teach those who
Yeah, you
would
need
do
both. Yeah, you need
that.
both.
So if we're going to have the brightest and the best of us, and we all know people who are exceedingly smart, but work at Ford, Chrysler, GM, some other machine shop somewhere else.
Mhm.
We know older cats that could probably do all kind of math. I have an uncle I know was like a math genius, and he died basically penniless.
Did he play the numbers?
Okay, that's not the point.
Oh. saying, man.
You deviating
Yeah,
here.
No, I'm thinking big picture.
Yeah, well,
Hey.
Trying to Rain Man up some millions.
If he did, he didn't wasn't very good at it because
Not those type of
he didn't
numbers.
leave us with nothing. But we know these people
Exactly.
that would have. If you said, "Oh, you put you in a college classroom, you could be blowing stuff away," and it's like, did you do that back then because of you needed to provide for your family or you
Mhm.
needed to do whatever? You know, that's fine, but now don't think that's your only option. And again, I'm using caveats here. You still can be successful, but again, you got to have a hustler's mindset. Using your example with the construction workers, if they don't
Mhm.
come to work, do they get paid?
Well, that's the union thing, but I'm gonna get out of that. So just say technically no, but you know there are caveats there too.
Right.
But yeah,
right.
you do have to, like I always say, work hard to establish and be successful during that. You're not just gonna get a trade, be lazy, and become successful. Same with the degree. So I think even with the degree side, you have to have some hustle, worth ethic, or something just to keep you going because you're not just gonna get that degree and be set for life. Because there are people with degrees, master's degrees or PhDs that have fallen by the wayside because they
Well,
didn't work.
and I think to that point, though, what it is they've stopped too early. I mean, because once you get to a certain point in your professional career, you find a sweet spot. And once you find that sweet spot, you make a decision to either stay there or continue striving to get above that.
Mm.
You know, and for a lot of people, that sweet spot may be 6 figures. Once you get there, you find with your 4-5% that you're getting every year because you've gotten over the hump, so to speak. I will tell people 6 figures ain't what y'all think it is, but
Yeah, let Uncle Sam get a piece of that.
yeah. But I say all that to say that when they, people that have degrees, you get to a certain point, then you might want to start coasting, but you can't do it too early.
But is that
that's
coasting like success or what are you?
well,
Because that's dangerous.
We've already said that.
I feel like that's
but
dangerous.
See, that's subjective. That's based
Mhm.
upon what you think success is. Once
Mm.
you get to 6 figures and you good, okay, cool.
I
mean,
think
'cause-
coasting is success. But you
But
got
I feel like that's dangerous to
well,
just
you
coast.
gotta watch. You gotta read the room.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
You gotta read the room.
You
gotta,
can't be in your 40s.
yeah.
I'm about to
Everything-
coast.
Things
Yeah,
shift.
because I feel like that's a very
And-
fine
and the
line you
thing
want to
is-
skate on.
Things shift because in corporate America, you're finding this to happen. The people that move up are either going to be process improvement people or they're going to be problem solvers. So if you say, or a combination of both,
Mhm.
I think there's a book out that called "If It's Not Broke, Break It," and the premise of it is there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
So you can't get to a place where you say, "Well, I got a job and this is what I'm doing and I'm comfortable doing it. I'm going to coast here." You really got to be on a precipice. I can't say that word.
Precipice.
Something like that.
Hey,
Word of
there
the
we
day.
go. Yeah.
You really got to be at a point where
There you go.
you say, okay, this is what I'm doing now, but I got to be flexible.
Mhm.
And I got to look at what this may iterate to. And then I got to say, okay, can I do this? That's what coasting is for me. It's
Mhm.
more so like I can ride this out and, I don't know if my work family is watching this. Probably not. But
We'll
you always
censor
got to be at a
this.
point where you're sitting in a meeting and you kind of zoned out and then you tune in a little bit and then you say, yeah, but what about so-and-so and so? And then go back on mute because they know that you're engaged.
Wait a minute. And then you hear, Carl, that's a good point.
That's a good point.
So-
I think we all been there before.
We all been there. You know what I'm saying? So I
Guilty as
mean,
charged.
and not that it happens all the, but
Yeah, I know.
But to me, that's coasting. That's being able to coast in the moment. And the same thing
Okay.
with the job. You got to be able to say, okay, where do I fit in? How long can I be right here? I might have to move, either take a lateral move or move up a step because nobody wants you to be at the same spot all the time.
Yeah, and that's
so
where I
where
say
are
that's
you gonna coast
dangerous.
at if you don't? I mean, if you haven't gotten a degree, when you out hustling, is working at the car wash coasting?
Well, you to me, you're stuck, and you can no, you gotta
Cars
love.
always gonna need to be getting washed. So.
You gotta love. Okay, for me, I like cars a lot. Do I love cars? But I like them a lot. Had I said, okay, I'm gonna go into auto mechanic trade, back when I graduated high school in the late 80s.
hmm
Fast forward to 2025. I don't even, do cars still have carburetors?
Bruh.
I mean, it's a whole
You
nother
open, you pop the hood, all you see is a plastic casing.
right. You can't even I can't even jump batteries with new cars. If I get my battery die, I can't, you pull up on me with a new car, I'm like, I can't, there's nothing I
Can't
can
help
do.
you, buddy.
Gotta
You know,
find it.
Right. So if I love cars, I'll be able to ride that wave until
Mhm.
now. If I just said, okay, now that all this new stuff is happening, I can't keep up with it, and I'm 30, 35, what am I gonna do? Without a degree.
Then that's when you say, I'm going to school so I can get a degree.
And then now I gotta sit in the classroom with a bunch of
Yeah.
19-year-olds
But
making TikTok videos.
see, you have. I think older students have a different mindset.
True.
Because we look at it more so as like a job. Because when I came home from the Army and I started, going to college, I wasn't trying to hang out in the student center. I was going to my classes, leaving, probably going to work and coming
Mhm.
home. So I was able to graduate in 3 years.
But your Army experience to me,
You had a higher level of discipline and steel
Not only that,
versus
absolutely.
a freshman.
And
Yeah, but that's why I say, because you have a different mindset as an older person, as an
Mhm.
adult.
and you hadn't been in a career for 10 years, even 5 years.
Mhm.
If I've been a plumber, if I've been an electrician, if I've been a construction worker, and then now you say, okay, I'm gonna stop that and go to school. First of all, the income drop is gonna be something else. Because I'm
Yeah.
I'm used to a certain level of living.
Mhm.
And even if I'm doing these things on the side while I go to school, it's not the same thing. Two, this is a whole nother world. These are whole different people. I'm used to talking to plumbers and electricians, and now I'm talking to people that's, talking about
Physics.
exactly.
Well, but I'm glad you hit on that point, because that's one of the other things that I was thinking about as well when you go to college, you get networking.
Yeah.
Because in college you meet people, and
Mhm.
at some point you never know if you're in the same field. Once you get out of college, you may bump into this person again.
Mhm.
So I think it's important, and not to say that you can't do the same thing in skilled
Yeah,
trades.
yeah.
But that's why I marry the two, because again, you got to do something. You can't just graduate high school and think,
It's gonna be
those
okay,
days are
'cause it's
gone
not.
where you could, get into the plant and, ride it out,
I mean,
for
people,
25, 30 years.
you can.
You're not doing that anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, but those plant
People
jobs
are
don't pay like they
doing
used
it.
to.
Yeah,
You
but
go
people
in
are
doing
still doing it.
$18 an hour, I think some places
Yeah,
start.
the
And
plant- the
you might
plant-
max out at 23, 24.
Plant jobs
That's
not
being
what
on the
they used to.
line.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be.
Ooh.
I mean,
And it's about to get tariffed, but that's for another show.
yeah, it's you can do things again. Going back to the original point, can you be successful? Yeah, but you gotta be a certain type of cat, and you can't be listening to people that. Okay, here's one thing I'll say. We talk about social media all the time. I think the most gullible people looking at social media are those who did not go to college.
I can kind
I'm sure there's a study out there on that.
Yeah,
So
I think
that you just
Because
piqued my interest, because now I
if
want to
you
look
were-
that
If
up.
you were to talk to people that tell you stuff they saw on social media that you know is not true, that you know they didn't fact check, that they just they said that the Trump, he about to give everybody a pot of gold, and then, yeah. Where'd you see that? How did you? It's part of the interest rate because of the GNP, and it's like, what are you talking about?
First of all, do you know what the GDP is?
Have no clue. They have no clue, but they saw it on
I read it.
social media,
Yeah.
on the news channel or some crap like that. And it's like, and like you said, if I know what this is, if I know how it works, if you know that's not even possible. But then you believe it, and it's like, okay, but you're talking to people who never went, and it's not only they didn't go to college, they don't even read for real. They don't read. They read social media. and they
that
read
doesn't
their
count.
particular who they follow and their particular leaders and so forth, but they don't read books. So you can again, you don't have to have a degree, but you have to be a certain type of person that wants to educate themselves,
Mhm.
surround themselves with people that have that education, be able to fact check, be able to research. These are all things that you do learn in college.
And despite what some people think, I will say this, when it comes to education, you get out of it what you put in,
Agree,
because
100%.
for me, excuse me, I think that a lot of times, people get, Carl, you mentioned this earlier, intimidated by
Mhm.
education. And education can come in several different forms. I mean, because
Mhm.
now, in my opinion, there's no excuse for people not to be educated, on
In
whatever.
something, yeah, and
Because if you look,
something.
man, everybody basically has a mini computer in their hand,
That's right.
and you can look up just about anything. My youngest son would ask me something, Dad, what does such and such mean? Man, if you don't look it up first, it's there for you, and
Mhm.
even now, I mentioned earlier, Google Classes. You can go out there and take classes and get certifications for free on certain things.
You can take Harvard classes on your computer, on your phone.
See?
They got different seminars and stuff that you and to your point about having a computer in your hand. When people say, "Did you know?" Those are also people that didn't go to college. You know what they've been hiding from us?
Who is
Did
they?
you know? First of
Who
all,
is they? That's my
it's not
problem.
hidden. Because I'm quick to say, yeah, I did know. I've known that since I was in like 12th grade, freshman year of high school, or freshman year of college, or whatever. I did know. It wasn't hidden. It's in a book.
That is hidden, Carl.
It's not
That
hidden.
is
Yeah, for
hidden.
some
That
people,
is
that is-
hidden. What do you mean? That is hidden.
And I've heard this since I was a kid. If they wanted to, all they got to do is put
Put it
our
in the
key to
book.
freedom in a book.
I told you
and
that's
we
it.
will
If it's in the
never
book,
get
it's
free.
hidden.
It's there.
Mhm.
So you can't fool certain people that have, and not everybody. And again, caveat: not everybody that goes to college is bright. There's some people that are
Some
very
educated fools
bingo.
out
they
there.
are very they're good at tasks, and you give them a task, and not to put y'all on the spot, B, but like people that are engineers, people that I know math, I know science,
Mhm.
I can complete the task. They may not be able to tie their shoes, but they can.
I might fail that philosophy course.
I mean, just like you said, you didn't take psych, so certain things,
Yeah,
and not to
exactly.
say, they're smart, but they not well-rounded. They're not,
True. Yeah.
so it's not going to solve all of that too. But generally, people are. They learn stuff that they never would have learned. They're around people they never would have been
Mhm.
around. So
I want to go back to a point, Carl, that we were talking about earlier, that aha moment in college. B, I want to ask you, growing up and going to school, when you got to, what college did you go to?
Wayne State.
Okay, so when you got to
Started there.
Wayne State, hey, that's where I got my undergrad from. Yeah. But when you got to Wayne State and you started, into your coursework and whatnot, how did you stack up against your peers? I mean, did you go in thinking, wow, this kid over here, this Indian kid is really smart and I don't feel like I, stack up against them? So did you ever have that experience?
Coming into it, I'll say I started at Wayne State and I transferred over to Dearborn for classes. But starting off Wayne State, that was my weed out classes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the organic chemistry. So then it wasn't intimidating, but the intimidating factor starting off was like, holy crap, we're all fighting to get a C to pass. Engineering is a little different. You ride the curve with our classes. So it's not A's and B's, but that 69 is actually a 75. So that was the intimidating factor starting out. And that was a mixed batch of students, races, ethnicities, all that. So my intimidation factor from the earlier courses was more so this is daunting, is weeding people out. Moving further in, when I was in Dearborn, U of M Dearborn, and other classes like that, they got smaller. And again, that's when I got to being like, I'm the only black person in this class. So that for a factor alone is like, that's intimidating because there's nobody like me in these classes. You might be one white guy and dozen Arabics and whatever else, but it's just me. So that alone was the intimidation factor there. But kind of looping back to what you're saying, you start taking these tests and exams like, oh, I am just as smart as them. or smarter, that's when you kind of get like, okay, I can do this. And for me too, I kind of got a bigger boost because I was working too at the same time. So I'm like, I got to do stuff for work. And you just chilling, at the student center making TikToks, but I still got to go to work and study for this test.
So what I see is two things real quick. One is you got to the point, which we all probably did, a sense of accomplishment being in college, as well as your confidence being increased. Because I think a lot of times when you look at, and I don't know about you, B, but I know Carl, people that we went to college with that maybe felt intimidated or felt like they couldn't, live up to the standards would fall by the wayside. And it was more brothers than anything,
Yeah.
Here's my line. Yeah, I'm gonna take next semester off. Ooh. You never saw that brother again.
Never saw him
Never.
again.
Well, that came with the weed out classes.
But,
so
and that's
you
what I'm
got
saying.
weeded out.
So I think that, a lot of times we as men, because I have to be honest, I never, encountered that with a female. It was always guys, so not saying that women don't, but I think it goes back to where, more women are getting degrees. And maybe that's, something that's still going on. It's been a minute I've been out of college, but I could see that as a reason for, men saying, well, maybe I'm not as smart as I thought, or, because it can be intimidating. Yeah, I know for me, one of the things that kept me going was always focusing on, I might not get an A in this class, but I'm not failing. Because this dumb joke over here is failing. So it's always somebody worse off. And I use that. I use that analogy all the time. So it's almost like it's motivating to say, okay, I might not be where I want to be, but I ain't like this one over here.
I think women, when they leave college, it's more financial than it's then being intimidated or
not being able to do the work.
Okay,
agreed.
I think men, and I've said this before. I don't know anybody who flunked out of college because they couldn't do the work. They flunked out of college or left college because they couldn't handle college. And to your point, time management, the socialization pieces, being around different ethnicities and cultures, they couldn't handle all of that.
It's a lot to take in.
So the people I knew, they were smart enough to do the work, but all those other factors. I had a buddy. He wanted to be an engineer. Couldn't pass math, and we were saying, our little friend group was like, "How you gonna do that? And you can't pass this math class?" And his answer was, "Well, you don't need math to be an engineer. They're gonna start teaching you engineering classes." And
you need the math to get. Never mind.
No, say it, because that's exactly what we would say.
Like even in my job, I still do some mathematics.
I
haven't been in the college campus in a while.
You gotta do this to do that.
It's still some equations
and not that and it was like, maybe you should look at something else. Maybe, like again, you're not unintelligent. You're a bright dude, but this might not be your path. And I saw, a lot of times guys got too much pride, and they were, no, this is what I'm gonna do. If I can't do that, I'm not gonna do nothing.
Yeah, and I think as guys, we do struggle with that too, because I struggle with that in college, and that kind of comes back to the women winning in the college field. Like organic chemistry, that was a class that kicked my butt. So I got a tutor, female. Had probably the highest grade in the class, but again, this is probably why I agree with the stuff. Women are smarter in college. Most of the time, when I had tutors in college or people that helped me with homework, it was women.
Did you have to pay them?
No.
Oh,
no, I didn't pay her. No, she kind of liked me, so I got. It was.
Oh, you paid her all
right. So man, I wish her well. Janine, that was my favorite tutor in college. But stuff like that, I realized that like those women were winning. I don't know what they're doing now, but in the classroom.
They're probably still winning.
Yeah. In the classroom, the guys always had a little falter back behind the women in college. So I still don't know why, but I knew who to find for tutoring when I needed some help.
Yeah, we don't. I think it's just more of our socialization that we don't do well or even aspire to go to college. Again, caveat, You don't have to be have a college degree, but
It helps.
you got and I think maybe this is one of the things with women too. They get to know themselves faster than men get to know themselves. Because you got to know yourself. If you know yourself and you say, I'm good at this, I'm not good at this, I need help with that, I'm a go-getter, I can finish tasks, whatever it is, the quicker you get to know yourself, the better you'll be in whatever field you go into.
So that would fall into, when we talk about women maturing faster.
Yeah,
than
and
men.
they got us beat there, so that makes sense. Yeah.
So fellas, y'all better pay attention to these smart girls, because
Find that right
And
tutor.
don't be intimidated by it. I think too, men get in their feelings because all these women do have college degrees and advanced degrees, and they get to some kind of highfalutin job, and you're working, but you might have a regular job. Let me tell you something.
Listen, lean in.
I'm gonna try to help the fellas out.
Lean in.
If you a good dude, just be a good dude, man. You can end up with an Oprah.
yes.
Flat out. Women don't be looking, and don't stay off of Instagram with all this kind of crap. These chicks that's working at Wendy's talking about, I need a high value man
That makes
and blah,
6
blah,
figures.
blah. And he got to make 6 figures and take me to Ruth Chris on the first day. Them chicks ain't real, bruh. They are not real.
Say that again.
I'm
What
gonna
please.
about
tell
looking at the
you.
lace front?
I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot of these women that are lonely, looking for dudes that make big money. And if they make 6 figures, y'all get together. Guess what? We make 6 figures.
I know that's right.
50 plus 50.
If you treat her right, bruh. I'm trying
But I
to tell
think
you.
that is two things. These are guys that are immature
Absolutely.
and
That's a
guys
big
that
part
are
of it.
insecure.
Absolutely.
Because again, what's yours is ours.
Absolutely.
So I'm good with it. So
Amen to that.
I have to say that when we talk about having a degree versus not having a degree, I mean, I do still feel that you have to have a degree to be successful, but I see that there is value even if you don't, because I'm not trying to, talk down on anybody. I'm just think from my perspective, this is where I stand, because ultimately it's a personal choice.
Mhm.
But you have to understand that, man, if you don't have a degree, your road to success may be a little bit more bumpier. So
Work
I
harder.
think that you've also you got trade schools, those are, and quite honestly, there are times when I look back and say, well, man, if somebody would have pulled my coattail on being an electrician or something like that, who knows where I would be now,
Mhm.
making money and just chilling. Because now I'm at the point age-wise where I can ride the wave. So
If you love being an electrician.
yeah,
That's
that's
part
true.
of it,
Because
yeah.
back in the day, well, we could have been, who knows, anything.
Mhm.
But we chose to go to college, and we're here now. So
Turned
B,
out just fine.
I want you to give us some parting thoughts on, again, your position and how you think it could help some people out here that may be on the fence and trying to decide whether or not they want to go to college and get a degree or whether they don't.
That's a big ball to tackle. But
Hey, man.
I would say you can find success on both sides of the coin if you have that degree and if you don't have that degree. Because there are people out there that are very successful without degrees that are going the entrepreneurial route. We have AI coming out. People are doing stuff with that. People that are doing those Google courses for cybersecurity at the comfort of their home, and they get picked up by some government agency. And then there's somebody in my field, engineering. I deal with healthcare, doctors, people that are degreed, doing very well on that other side. So, but the common thing is those people have figured something out and chased after it and worked hard to continue and maintain that. So I think you have to have, whichever side you go, you have to have some work ethic, some drive behind what you're going to do, and you can pan out to be successful. But don't just think, I'm going to get a degree and be okay, or I'm going to figure out a non-degree route and be okay. And I kind of err on the side of caution. Don't coast in what you're doing, because where we're at now, AI can come and take your job if it's, you're coasting through it. Or there's some guy in Pakistan will outsource you too for pennies on a dollar that will take you out. And it's true, it's happening. So again,
So have a plan, whichever
Yes.
route you're going. Just have a plan and work that plan.
Yes, work hard behind it.
Okay. Carl?
B says a plan. I say a passion. I think that you can be successful without a degree if you have a passion
Mhm.
for what you do that you don't need a degree for. So if you are, any type of trade, if you're a barber or hairstylist or electrician, whatever, if you have a passion for that, then you're going to pursue it and you're going to work hard and you're going to put together a plan and do whatever it
Yeah.
takes to be necessary.
Mhm.
If you don't have a passion for anything and you're still searching for what you really want to do, then I would say go to college, because that's going to help you. You're going to meet a diverse group of people. You're going to take the first couple of years, if you go into a university, first couple of years you just take regular general classes
Yeah,
and
your
try to figure
prereqs and
yourself
stuff.
out.
Mhm.
And then I don't want people to say, well, that's a waste of money. It's not a waste of money if it's going to develop you for the rest of your life. So, everybody gets into those whole student loans and the stuff. People that are telling you all of this stuff are sending their kids to college. People that are trying to make all these people fearful of debt for the rest of their life and yada yada, they're sending their kids to college, and they have been themselves.
There you go.
So don't get
Don't
fooled
get
by a
scammed.
banana in the tailpipe.
Don't get scammed.
So if passion, go ahead and do your thing. If you don't have a passion, then you may want to explore your options.
Okay, cool. And I agree with that, exploring your options thing, which family, for me, I'm still on team, take your butt to college. It gives you the opportunity to figure out what you want to do. And again, you can't worry about, things like finance and so on and so forth, because where there's a will, there's a way. And you don't have to come out, being hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, So we thank you guys for being here with us, and we hope that you were able to learn something. So, again, we want you guys to go to the YouTube page, like it, share it, talk about it, drop some comments in, because we're here for all of it. Again, we always say, stay prayerful, stay positive, stay patient, stay peaceful. See you guys next time.